Well, how about it, Richard? The one thing we don't talk about is mental health, right? That gets us off to a good start. Yes.
Let's put up our first slide. So first of all, thank you very much, Leslie, for the kind introduction and invitation to be here today. A personal note, I first met Denis almost 30 years ago in Oxford, in physiology. We're both physiologists. You don't remember, but I do. But to share the stage with you is a personal honor today, because at that time, I was a young student and Denis was the rock star. So this is a real pleasure for me. So let's go to this slide. It's a little bit fuzzy, but some of you are missing Wimbledon for this. So hopefully we will be as entertaining and advantageous. So it does say advantage up there. And we're all here because we do have an advantage. We may not realize that, but we are, equipped, as we heard this morning, for our own personal well-being. I won't call it longevity or aging. But so hopefully you'll enjoy our small ping pong match this afternoon. That's the questions flying between us.
Well, I think, Richard, the scene has been set by about 6 words that I picked up in all the previous ones. One was purpose, another was choice, another was mindset, another was hope, and a final one was fun. And I think that this is what it's about, isn't it? It is with our purpose and the ability to be in charge of what our body is doing and being on top there, we can manage. Am I correct? Is this where you're going, Richard?
No, absolutely. Thank you for that question, Denis. It's about choice. We all chose to come today to have fun, to learn something. We paid a price to be here. We traveled vast distances. And it's about the choices we make for a purpose. Our purpose for being here is education. Excuse me. It could be for, I was speaking over lunch, a better business model. How can we engage our customers? How can we engage our patients, our clients, and so on? And also as an educator, I'm a university professor, I teach. How can we engage the next generation of healthcare professionals, academics, clinicians, and so on? So purpose, first of all. We're all here for a purpose. We have a purpose in life. Leslie told us about her recovery process. There was a purpose. We are all engaged in improving our own health span, our own well-being, whatever that means to you and me. So it's very personalized as well. And how we can approach this for our own personal health and for those around us, be they our friends, families, or clients, is really important. So purposeful. The next word you said was?
Well, that was choice.
Choice. So we made a choice. So choice. Yes. We have many choices. We are consumers. I always talk about consumer choice, consumer wellness. We go to a supermarket. We have a very wide choice. But what drives us to buy product A, product B, product C? Is it confidence in the product? Is it awareness through marketing? Or is it the cost? Is it 50% cheaper than the other product, but does the same thing? So choices that we make in life for our own health as well. Often we make choices that are not affordable. And we invest our money and also our time in activities that may be promoting a less healthy lifestyle. I won't say unhealthy. It's about choice, and we all have that choice. We all also have an informed choice. Who informs us? These days, unfortunately, social media too often informs us. Newspapers inform us. Academics inform us. How do we know that the information that we are receiving to make a choice is robust? And there was actually a question this morning relating to that. So it's the informed choice that we make. It's the purpose, our purpose for today, our purpose for this week, or for the next 10 years, as we heard, for the next 9 years.
And the next word was hope.
Hope. Hope. There's always hope. Now, the theme that Leslie said that we would be discussing is mental health. I don't like either word. And we know what mental health means to us, but it's perhaps well-being, psychological well-being. And we discussed, I think one of your words is happiness and joy.
Yes.
But what do we hope for? What is our vision for the next period of time? Do we lose hope? Very often we do. We've all been there. We do lose hope. And it's very important that we have the choice to lose hope or to keep the hope as well. So the hope is also the purpose. So what is our hope for this afternoon? What is our hope for today? Being here to learn something, to network, to have a nice time at Keble College. So I think it's very important as we consider psychological well-being that we engage with each other, our families, our community, to foster this perspective of hope. Hope that we can and we will get better. We don't lose hope. We encourage each other to have more hope. And this is also very personal and very cultural. Our cultural background dictates often what we understand by many of these terms. So anyway.
So what you're saying, Richard, if I've understood you, is don't let's think about, oh dear, I might get depressed, or don't think about somehow I will lose hope in life. One has to be positive, even in the depths of things. Now, one way of doing that, at least the way that I use, is have fun. My fun is singing and dancing. I tell you, it's as totally different from doing physiology. Oh, no, not quite. You'll be amazed at the great effects on the physiology of the body of singing in a group, in a hall, and the amazing effects of learning all of those dance routines, the ballroom dancing and the sequence dancing. My goodness, does that make the neural connect? This is all to do with physiology, right?
Absolutely. So earlier on this morning, we were all asked to stand up and take a breath. That had a very large impact on many different physiological systems, breathing, our muscles, our heart, and even we had to use our brain, God forbid, you know. And in so doing, we activated many physiological pathways. I don't want to get into the science of it, but it does make a difference. And it does have a long-lasting difference if we do it many times during the day or during our life. And again, coming back to the psychological well-being and physiology, what are the neural pathways that are activated? What are the processes that increase our, you could say, mental capacity, awareness? By standing up, we all woke up because we were told to stand up. There's more blood flowing to our brain. There's more blood flowing to our hearts. And in singing and also dancing, Denis, very important. It's exercise, but more importantly, it's fun. It's something that we enjoy. And that in itself has many more physiological benefits above just breathing, just using your vocal cords and your muscles. So the holistic view of standing up, singing, dancing has to put in the social context as well. Often you're dancing not alone, but with someone else, or in a community and so on. So it's a social interaction. So we really need to understand the physiology behind the social interaction, the activity and so on. So as physiologists doing this research, it's fascinating for us to take this holistic view rather than the reductionist view of I just work on the heart or I just work on the brain and so on. Because we're all in the community, we interact with each other.
Well, as a perfect illustration of that, Richard, your other university, if I may refer to it, King's College London. He has two universities.
I have
No, there isn't one that's big enough for him, you see. Anyway, your department, some department is bioengineering, I think, in King's College London, actually did an experiment on me. In the first chapter of my little book, The Music of Life, which is an introduction to systems biology, physiology is another word for it. Anyway, I point out a lovely piece, a trio, a piano trio by Schubert, as an illustration of how we make genes behave for us. True, incidentally, there's physiological proof of that. And I use that as a metaphor, obviously. And what King's College London did was to get a top trio to play that for me in a laboratory setting, all connected up to have heart rate, breathing, sense of well-being, EEG, the lot, all being displayed on a big display while I listened to this great trio playing that piece of music. I knew what the outcome of that study will be. I haven't seen it yet as a proper analysis, but I can guess it will be, it shows me going up and up and up. The breathing shows it. I'm sure the heart rate will show it too. So, believe me, we control what happens down at the lower level of our bodies.
No, absolutely. So, Denis mentioned tracking heart rate, blood pressure, and so on. Many of us in this auditorium are familiar with tracking devices. So we're being tracked all the time. Our smartphone automatically counts the number of steps and so on. It is very important that we understand what all this data means. So the example you used, very important. Denis was enjoying the music at that time. And so the pattern or the signature of the signals that were measured on you is a personalized, you could say personalized signature of your enjoyment of the music.
Exactly.
And in the same way, the pattern will differ for me, differ for Denis, depending on even the type of music or the type of activity that we're enjoying. So it is very important to understand the physiology of enjoyment, what that means, not only the tracked data, the real-time data, but on the back of it, we've heard about genetics and epigenetics and so on. In context specific, it could be in a disco or in an auditorium or a concert hall. It could be summer, winter. It could be a certain time of the month for the women. You know, that all makes an impact on our personalized signature. So that's an important concept to understand. We need to have these signatures of well-being, signatures of stress or distress, disease. How does that personalized signature change over time as we passage through time? I call that time rather than age. So we can remain aware of this personalized signature, and any deviation from the signature could indicate a change in our both physical and also psychological condition.
So what you're saying, Richard, is that your personal solution, what you and your body find in managing this trick that we all have as organisms of being able to control the molecular and cellular processes to the point where we reach this state of equilibrium, where we feel happy, is going to be different from mine and different from everybody else's. Because we're back to that calculation somebody gave, the 20,000 genes, and the goodness knows how many varieties of epigenetic genetic variation, and the number being absolutely beyond belief. It's that big, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we all understand that genetics is fixed, but epigenetics is not. We are all born with a set of genes, but the genes are not all active at the same time. When you're a baby, you're growing into adolescence. There's a whole set of genes that are active and working in a physiological way. You would not want those genes to be active in your 50s and 60s. So I'm just giving the context of the epigenetics as well. Why are certain genes switched on or silenced at different times of our life? And it is variable, and lifestyle interventions do impact on gene expression through the epigenetics. It's not only DNA methylation, but it's highly complex. And I won't give that molecular biology lecture now. However, we need to understand that lifestyle and enjoying our lifestyle has a direct impact on how these physiological processes are manifested when the genes are activated or silenced. So highly complex. Do we need to measure these epigenetic changes? And many people are now, by regularly assessing many different factors influencing your genetic makeup. That's really important for us to do more research, because we don't have the answers. We have many questions, and we need to track the individual. The epigenetic changes for me may not be the same as for you, and the consequences, I mean, will not be the same. So we need more individualized or personalized research, and we are all our own living experiments. That's also very important to understand.
Yes, precisely. I want to go a little bit further than you have so far, Richard. You know very well that in biology I'm a heretic. One of my heresies, but I've got a growing number of people who agree with this, is that we can actually change our genes, not just our epigenetics. Now, you may find that very surprising. The standard story is that we're fixed. We have a particular genome that we are given. That is that. It stays with you for the rest of your life. It never changes. And then that gets passed on the generations. During the pandemic, your immune system was changing your genome. Did you know that? It can go in to a very particular part of the cells of the body, that are the immune cells, and change the pattern of DNA sequence so that they can find serendipitously the precise way to grab hold of that virus. You need to be in good health for that to work well, because your immune system depends on your nervous system, that depends upon your overall health, your joy. And I come back to one of the songs I love. You know, I sing the troubadours, the Perigord. And what do they sing of? Literally joy. They spell it J-O-I, but that doesn't matter. They still pronounce it joy. That's what we need.
And perhaps joy is the advantage.
Exactly.
If we're joyful, whatever that means to me and for you, that is an advantage. And we don't fully understand the genetics or the epigenetics of joy and happiness. Isn't that fascinating that there can be a genetic or epigenetic basis to how we experience happiness and even how we react to it, and the positive aspects. So there's a lot of research to be done, because what makes you joyful may not make me joyful. However, there are commonalities as well. Okay, we're all humans, we all live and breathe and bleed in the same way. So there are generic patterns in populations. However, you have to put on top of that the culture, the context-specific nature of our immediate environment, which also impacts on, as you say, how we respond to the environment around us. The environment, we talked about air pollution, water pollution, climate change, higher temperatures. Even our environment is full of viruses. And how we have dealt with that is very important. Thankfully, most of us went through the pandemic and we're here today. But we are different because of that period, that 2 or 2.5 year period, through isolation, being more sedentary, and so on and so on. How has that impacted our personal wellness trajectory? We don't know. We are the living experiment. And we heard about long COVID. how has that impacted in ways that we can't measure yet? And we don't know. I mean, there are obvious symptoms, but there may be much more subtle changes due to the pandemic. I'm not saying due to the virus itself.
I think what that showed, though, one thing very, very clearly to us, the importance of connections, because for a period that was exceedingly limited. And I don't know what you all felt, but I felt deprived. The connections are so important. But coming back to joy briefly, I've got a speculation for the TCM people, the traditional Chinese medicine people in the audience and the campus specialists and so on. I've sometimes thought about this, reading those scrolls that Leslie referred to earlier on. I have a complete facsimile of them in my office in the department. I think this is roughly what is being referred to by Qi and Qi. What is it, that Chinese character? It is surely being on top. It's a kind of energy, but it isn't energy in the sense of measuring our ATP levels, but my goodness, is it energy in terms of motivating that purpose? Life naturally does that all the time. You can even see it in bacteria. You don't have to think it's something that only applies to humans.
No, absolutely. Thank you for that comment, Denis. Energy. I won't go into TCM, but we started this conversation by talking about choices and purpose. We put more energy into something purposeful that we want to achieve. We put energy into coming today. And how that impacts on many of the physiological processes that we've talked about, blood flow, breathing, you had to exercise to get here, about energetics. So I'm a cell biologist, we talk about cellular bioenergetics. Many of you know about, you mentioned ATP and mitochondria. However, what the psychological impact of joy has on these cellular processes, also very important. We talked about inflammation, neuroinflammation, inflammation in the brain. Does that impact on the way that we even perceive things, our thinking? And I know we wanted to talk about, or touch at least upon the word depression. Very important that we consider how inflammation in the brain or in the body impacts on pathways in the brain that may make us more predisposed to depression or psychological disease, and how lifestyle interventions can have both a psychological and also a physiological impact on processes to maintain psychological well-being. So, I mean, it's fascinating. We just don't have time to get into the details.
That's right. But notice, just briefly, how often depressive state is associated with reduced immune system activity. The nervous system, the immune system talk to each other. There can't be much doubt about that.
Absolutely. So earlier on we were talking about obesity and diabetes, and all of these factors will increase levels of inflammation. And there are close correlations between diabetes and also depression. But what can we do to get over it? How can we effectively treat mental conditions? The not only the dementias, but the depression and so on. And we were talking about the physiology behind it, coming back to joy, purpose, hope. They may seem very obvious to you, but do we need a change in mindset. If we think purposefully and we take action and go out for the walk, for example, that in itself will have many physiological anti-inflammatory pathways that will be activated that will reduce the prevalence and the risk of depression.
And with that, Leslie, did you want us to allow time for questions?
Let me put up another slide.
Oh, sure, yes.
I'm going to advance
Please,
this.
2 slides, I think.
If it advances, it's not an advantage if I can't advance the slide.
Well, thank you very much for
Can
that
someone advance that for me?
conversation.
Oh, let's
there
go back
we
here.
go.
Okay, before we end, we don't stop playing because we grow old. Maybe we can read the rest together. We grow old because we stop playing. So we can see this is very true. What do we need to do about this? Do we need to really take this to heart? Playing is actually the purpose. Our life should be purposeful, hopeful, and we need to consider how we can maintain the joy by playing, by singing, by dancing, and so on. And just to end with another tennis picture, playing, not because I like to play tennis, but interacting with others across the generations, very important. Because of the change in population demographics, we know that society is aging, but equally important that we engage with those of a different generation. And sorry, to just bring in one more point that we had discussed. Most of our lives we spend in the workplace. And, we need to be productive. We have gainful employment. That's the health of our wallet. But also, we know that workplaces are full of stresses, and we experience that. And one thing which we will experience is that there'll be many different generations within the work environment, which also can generate tensions. So what we need to do is to engage, we need to interact with those who are of a different generation. We need to understand the joy, the purpose, and the hope within different generations. Very difficult to cover all of this within the allocated time, but we do have Q&A, we do have networking time later on, so look forward to speaking with you. Thank you, Leslie.